Elementary, my dear Watson. I never guess. It is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. I observe and deduce.
Sherlock Holmes, master detective, brilliant mind, icon of logic. And wrong about what he actually does. Sherlock doesn't deduce, he abduces. And most people have never even heard of abductive reasoning. But you use it every single day. When your car won't start and you think, probably the battery. When you see wet streets and think, it must have rained. When you diagnose why your friend is upset, you're abducing. And understanding what that means will change how you think about thinking itself. Let's start with the basics. There are 3 fundamental types of reasoning. Most people only know 2. First, deduction. This is what Sherlock thinks he's doing. Deduction moves from general rules to specific conclusions. If the rule is true and the case fits the rule, the conclusion is guaranteed. The most famous example is, if all humans are mortal and Socrates is human, then Socrates must be mortal. No guessing, no probability, pure logical necessity. Second, induction. This moves from specific observations to general patterns. You observe that every swan you've ever seen is white, so you conclude, all swans are white. This seems reasonable, until you see a black swan. Induction is useful. We use it constantly, but it's never certain. The future might not resemble the past. I've covered this in another video on deduction versus induction. I'll leave the link in the description if you want to check it out. And now, abduction. This is the one most people have never heard of. And no, it doesn't mean kidnapping here. Abduction moves from observation to best explanation. You see wet streets. You think, it probably rained. Not because you saw rain, not because you deduced rain from a rule, but because rain is the most likely explanation for wet streets. Could it be something else? Yes, but rain is the simplest, most common explanation, so you infer rain as the best explanation. This is abduction, and it's what Sherlock does constantly. Let's watch Sherlock actually work. Classic scene. A man walks into 221B Baker Street. Sherlock glances at him for 3 seconds and says,
You're a doctor. Recently returned from Afghanistan. You have a limp, but it's psychosomatic, not physical. You're a military surgeon. Your brother is an alcoholic.
How on earth? Let's break down what Sherlock actually did. He didn't deduce, he abduced. Sherlock observes, the man's face is tan, but his wrists are pale. Possible explanations. 1. Recently returned from sunny climate. 2. Uses tanning bed, but only on face. 3. Works outdoors with long sleeves. Best explanation? Recently returned from sunny climate. Not certain, but most likely. Second observation. The man stands rigidly, unconscious military posture. Possible explanations. 1. Current or former military. 2. Very strict upbringing. 3. Back injury requiring stiff posture. Best explanation? Military. Third observation. Medical bag with wear pattern suggesting frequent field use, not office use. Possible explanations. 1. Field medic/military doctor. 2. Rural doctor making house calls. 3. Really clumsy office doctor. Best explanation, military doctor in active service. And Sherlock combines these inferences. Tan plus military bearing plus field medical bag equals recently returned military doctor from sunny combat zone. Afghanistan was active conflict at the time, therefore, recently returned from Afghanistan. Notice, at no point did Sherlock prove this. He made the best inference from available evidence. He could be wrong. Maybe the guy was in Iraq. Maybe he's a hiking enthusiast with a medical degree who stands weirdly. But probably not. Abduction doesn't give you certainty. It gives you the most likely explanation. And that, on occasions, does the trick. You do this constantly. You just don't call it abduction. Let's run through some examples. You walk into a room. Your friend is crying. You don't deduce why. There's no rule, all crying people are sad because X. You don't induce from past patterns alone. You abduce. You look for the best explanation. You notice. They're on their phone. They just got a message. Their posture suggests shock, not physical pain. Best explanation? Bad news via text. You ask, are you okay? What happened? And you might be right. That's abduction. You turn the key. Nothing. You immediately think, the battery's dead. Why? You didn't deduce it from first principles. You abduced it. Dead battery is the most common cause of no response when turning key. It's the simplest explanation, so you check the battery first. Could it be something else? Sure, but you start with the most likely explanation and work from there. That's efficient reasoning. This is where abduction gets serious. A doctor sees a patient with symptoms: fever, cough, fatigue, shortness of breath. Possible diagnoses. The doctor doesn't deduce the answer. They abduce. Which diagnosis best explains all the symptoms? Probably flu or COVID, given current prevalence and symptom pattern. Order tests, confirm or rule out. But you start with the best explanation. This is literally how medical diagnosis works. Abduction. Here's the thing about abduction. Unlike deduction, it can be wrong. Even if your reasoning is perfect, your conclusion might be false. Because abduction is about probability, not certainty. You're inferring the best explanation, not the only explanation. Example, you see hoof prints in the mud. You think, a horse walked through here. Best explanation, right? But what if you're in a zoo and there's a zebra enclosure nearby? What if someone is wearing horseshoe-shaped boots as a prank? What if it's actually a donkey? Your abduction was reasonable given your initial information, but it wasn't certain, and that's fine. Because abduction isn't about being right 100% of the time. It's about being reasonable with incomplete information. The key is stay open to revision. When you get new evidence, you update your explanation. You don't cling to your first inference if better information appears. This is how science works. This is how detective work works. This is how thinking works.
So how do you get better at abductive reasoning? 3 principles.
Don't jump to the first explanation that fits. Generate several possibilities, then pick the best one. Your car won't start. Bad abduction. Battery's dead. Good abduction. Could be battery, could be starter, could be gas. Let me check the most likely causes in order. When multiple explanations fit, choose the simplest. Both technically explain wet streets, but it rained requires fewer assumptions, so it rained wins. Hold your explanations loosely. When new evidence appears, be willing to revise. You thought your friend was upset about a text, but then you notice they're watching a sad movie. Update. Probably the movie, not the text. Good abduction isn't about being right the first time. It's about being willing to be wrong and updating when you are.
So why does this matter? Because most of your thinking is abductive. You're constantly inferring best explanations from incomplete evidence, and most people do it unconsciously. They don't realize they're making inferences, not discovering facts. So they cling to their explanations as if they're certain. But once you know you're abducing, everything changes. You start asking, what else could explain this? Is this the simplest explanation? What would make me change my mind? You become less dogmatic, more curious, more willing to revise. And that's the difference between thinking you're Sherlock and actually thinking like Sherlock. So next time you catch yourself thinking, it's obviously X, stop. Ask, am I deducing this or am I abducing this? If you're abducing, and you usually are, stay humble. Consider alternatives. Update with evidence. That's abductive reasoning, the type of thinking Sherlock actually uses. And now, so do you.
Drawn to philosophy.